Hey everyone, it's Irene Lyon here. Welcome to this video, to this YouTube channel, and to this world of healing trauma, nervous system health, and all things neuroplasticity. Did the title today catch your eye on this video? Did it? Let me ask you this question. Do you think that you can avoid getting hit by a bus? Why would we ever get hit by a bus? And the reason I'm posing this question, I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while, and now is the time to do so. And the other reason, what has spurred this desire to tell you about this thing that's on my mind that is a pet peeve, I hear so many podcasts, videos, even in various written articles, where if someone's talking about why us humans don't take risk, so maybe we are afraid of doing something that to us is risky, but it's just our fear for putting ourselves out there. Maybe we're afraid to tell someone how we feel. Maybe we're afraid to start a project. Maybe we're afraid to take up a new hobby or sport. God only knows what, right? This common fear of doing something out of our comfort zone. And then someone says to that, well, hey dude or woman, whatever, just do it because you never know when that day might come where you just get hit by a bus and you're gone. And it's true. We don't want to get hit by a bus or hit by anything that is moving at a fast clip along a road or a highway or wherever. But what would make it such that someone would get hit by a bus? Now, I understand there are elements of freak accident. Maybe a bus falls out of the sky. Maybe someone pushes us onto a street and we don't have time to react and then we get hit by a bus. Maybe for whatever reason, we're distracted by something and the bus driver has a heart attack and it, goes onto the curb, sidewalk and hits us and we don't see it coming. So there's instances, I have no doubt, where maybe we might get hit by a bus and it is not our fault. However, in this day and age, I can't think of any moments other than a few of these options that I just mentioned where I would put myself into a situation where I would be hit by a bus. Now, let's dive this back, or let's bring this back a little bit. When we are going out into the world, because of how we live as humans, we tend to be disconnected. Now, I'm being very general here. I'm sure many of you listening to this who have been following me for a long time and who are maybe students of mine, you guys know how to orient, how to stay connected to your environment, how to listen to the sounds around us so that something doesn't hit us. I mean, the other day, true story, I was walking down my walkway and all of a sudden something landed on my head and it truly shocked me. I startled, and it was a crow. We have a family of crows all around our home they're nesting now, right? They're about to have their babies or make their babies. So they protect certain areas at certain times of the year. And the thing literally clawed my hair and then flew away. That I was not waiting for. I didn't see it coming. He literally dive-bombed me, he or she. Now, there are instances when things might come out of the sky and get you. I get that. But for the most part, if we are aware and alert and oriented, this is the key word here, to our surroundings, it is really hard to get hit by a bus. So let me paint this scenario. When I walk out my driveway, or not my driveway, my walkway, don't have a driveway, and I could either go left or right or straight ahead if I'm going for a walk, I will not go onto that sidewalk without first looking left and right. I'm not going to walk out onto the street where there's cars until I am sure there are no cars, bicycles or motorcycles or scooters coming both ways. And even then, when I cross the street, I will look a little bit left and right just to be sure. Now, some might say that that's hypervigilance. When we're doing it consciously with attention and we're calm and connected and we're just moving, that is not hypervigilant. That is just being safe in our environment. So if we think about being in a busy area with tons of cars and buses, I would hope, I would assume, and I know this seems like common sense, that we wouldn't just walk out onto the street without looking both ways. Even with things like a bus, you feel it coming, you hear it coming. However, in this day and age where many of us are plugged in, we're listening to things, we're typing on our phone. If we are immersed in something like that, I have no doubt that maybe we might get hit by a bus, but whose fault is it, right? Technically, it's our fault if it is in that way. Now, I'm sure in a court of law, someone might say it's the bus driver's fault, but I'm going to be real honest here. If we have neglected to look and be oriented to the world around us, and we step out into traffic without looking, whose fault is that? Now, why would someone not see that bus? Let's just say they're not listening to something, they're not talking to someone, they're not texting. There is something that we would call dissociation, being disconnected not just from our physical body, but from our brain, and then being disconnected from the environment. We could also say that is being dissociated from the world around us, being disconnected from the world around us. Either way, it works both ways. So what would lead us to be so dissociated from our environment and from ourselves and from our senses that we don't hear, we don't feel the vibration of that bus coming to alert us to look, oh, bus, I better not go out onto the street. What makes us not see this and feel it, even though we're walking and all of that sort of stuff, is some form of unhealed survival stress. This would be called unhealed trauma, traumatic experience that has put us into a tunnel zone, put us into a situation where we are not aware that there is a right and a left. I'm going to elaborate on that in a second. We might not be aware that we even have to be connected to our body when we're walking across a street. Many people are living lives where they are completely from the neck up in their head. And even then, sometimes they lose track of what they're thinking or where things are in the house. They lose their keys. They don't remember where things are. This is a sign of being disconnected from the environment and ourselves, usually a result of overwhelm, chronic stress, or past traumatic experiences that we are still harboring inside of our body, and it zaps us out of the here and now, present moment in our somatic senses, connected to all of our nervous systems and this ability to discern moving bus coming to my right, I better slow my movement down and pull back because I think it's going to come. So to go back to this concept, we do not have to be hit by buses. This is not, in my opinion, the best way of convincing someone that they should take a risk, that they should do something that's uncomfortable. We need to take risks. We need to do things that are uncomfortable, but this idea that do it because, one day you might be hit by a bus. I'd like to kind of shake that myth up or that concept up and say, let's just not get hit by buses and let's work on our stuff, connect to our body, learn how to connect to the environment. I obviously have lots of resources on this topic and I'll post them somewhere near this video. Get into your system, get into your somatic senses. How can you not bypass what's happening in the body and how the body connects to the mind and how the mind-body connects to the environment? Now, there's one little side note I will say. Let's just say we have been hit by a bus or a car or a bicycle, or we've had some kind of car accident, because this does happen, where it really wasn't our fault. And let's say we were literally in a situation where we couldn't get out of the way, we couldn't speed away, we couldn't run out of the way, and our system goes into a bit of a shock. Our system goes into a protection, fight-flight mode. And let's just say that thing, that car, that bicycle, whatever it might be, that bus came from one of our sides. Let's say it came from our right side and we got hurt. And let's just say we didn't know about the stuff that you're learning from me here on this channel and my work. We didn't know that we store that traumatic stress if we don't work with it actively in the moment or at some point afterwards. So let's just say that happened. And let's just say when let's say a bicyclist came and hit us, we created in our body a fear, absolute fear of everything to the right, because that's where the danger came from. And then let's say we broke our leg and it put us into various troubles and recovery, and we never alivened ourselves to be comfortable looking to the right side. I've seen this in my private practice. What happens or can happen is that when we go out into the world, we have a blind spot literally to that right side. We are completely connected to the left side. So those days when you go out and you walk onto the road, you step off the curb, you're in the city, you forget that there's this side to the right. It's like it's deadened. It's gray. There's no life there because that's where the bad stuff came from. So we're just going to shut it out. We'll be really good at looking to the left. Even our neck and spine will be better to look to the left. So the left and everything that comes from the left we'll see, but we'll be completely devoid of the right. And so one way that we can start to ameliorate these things that get trapped in our body is we open up and we practice literally looking both ways. When we go outside, when we step onto the road from the curb, when we walk out of our homes, even if you know there's nothing there, what would it be like to actively, consciously, deliberately say, I'm going to pause and I'm going to look to the right, because that was the side where that injury came into my body. It came from the right. Of course, it would work if it was the left as well. Can I look both ways? Can I look a little up, a little down? Can I fill in my sensory awareness, my kinesthetic awareness, my hearing, right? Take out the ear things. Let yourself just check in and then go on your way. When you sit in your car before you drive, same kind of thing. If we know where we're always going, it can be very easy and automatic to just go. But what if that's that one day that someone on a recumbent bike is riding down your street and you need to do a little extra looking and you miss them, right? Not to like scare anyone here, but there are obstacles and things in our environment that we cannot always predict. We cannot always predict them. So by being able to have this more attuned, refined, finessed, active connection with our environment and ourselves, not only do we most likely set ourselves up for never getting hit by anything, not just a bus, but anything that might be potentially harmful to us, but we reconnect to our entire system, to our somatic system, to our nervous system. This concept of what Stephen Porges would say, our neuroception, this ability to sense danger, but also sense safety. It goes both ways, right? So to wrap this back up, the beginning, the thesis, if you will, of this video is we just don't need to get hit by buses, and to stop using that example in a way that pushes us to go, yeah, you're right, I might get hit by a bus one day, so I'm just going to go for it and take this risk in my business, career, life, whatever. First of all, intentions are very, very strong. So if we think, well, I might just get hit by a bus one day, I better do this instead, just be careful for what you put out there. Know that there is no reason to get hit by a bus when we are actively engaged with the environment, when we're oriented to it, and be aware of your blind spots. If you know that you've been in a car accident or a bike accident or something where you have been sideswiped, even on a soccer pitch or a football pitch, and you're running and something hits you, that ball, and it startled you, and that's when you sprained your ankle, go back to that memory. Go back to that time. Can you replay in your awareness, in your somatic system, what happened, so that there isn't that blind spot that is kind of living in your system? Because one thing I have seen too, and I'll end with this, I have worked with people in the past, and you'll often hear this, people will get into the same car accident, they'll always get into car accidents, they'll always fall on steps, they'll always slip on ice, even though they know damn well when they see ice, they should change their body posture, they should have aid, they should salt the driveway, and yet for whatever reason, they do it again, and they do it again, and then they get injured, and then another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and they're not able to do what they want to do. There is not coincidence that such folks have these recurring accidents over and over again. Usually, when we look at it from a nervous system physiology perspective and how we disorient to the world around us when we haven't healed these things, these shock traumas, we get caught back into those over and over again. The world, the universe has a very sick and twisted way of putting us back into the same thing, but it really is our nervous system's blind spots. We aren't seeing it. We might see it, but something doesn't register. Change this pattern. Do something different. Don't go down that path. Use the handrail. We become victim in a way to past circumstance that we haven't healed, integrated, dealt with, cried over, got angry with, whatever it might be. So, message of the day: don't get hit by a bus. You don't need to get hit by a bus. And if you have been hit by a bus or its equivalent, do the work to heal that event so that you are not living with blind spots within your world, within your body, etc., etc. Of course, this is a literal example, but you can extrapolate this metaphorically. We have blind spots not just when it comes to things coming and hitting us and causing shock traumas, but relationally, emotionally, all these other elements that make up a human system. So that being said, I will leave it at that. I will put some resources below on the orienting response and the importance of getting back into our body. I've got lots of ways that you can learn and dive into this information. If you haven't yet subscribed to this video, please do so. Subscribe, and if you click the little bell, that'll make sure that you are notified when I put out these videos, as they come out usually once a week. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.